Hello, my name is John Nance, and today I am here with...
Leila, ramagopal, pertl.
Amazing. And who are you? What do you love to do?
Gosh, it's funny. I like starting with the things that I don't do professionally.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
I love playing. I love divine play.
Mm-hmm.
I love the creative spirit, and I love connecting with people on that soul level where we both recognize that we're creators. What I do on a day-to-day basis is teach music. I am a professor of music education at Lawrence University, specifically working with pre-service music educators who are college students who are training to be music teachers.
Really? So you're the teachers of the teachers?
I am the teacher of the teachers.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm also, because I'm part-time, I'm also going back into teaching elementary students.
Really?
At Edison School, which is like 2 blocks down, which is super exciting. And one of the primary reasons I'm hooking up with Edison is that I want to build like a lab school.
Really?
For the Lawrence music educators, so that they come over and they learn on the floor with real children, and also learn from the children.
Yeah, yes.
They're like, kids are really the wisest people on the planet. And the way they grow is so beautiful, like how they grab onto information, how they come together and create together without diffidence, but instead with like unabashed joy and wonder. And they also listen to one another and they respond to one another. Like you watch a set of kids playing on the playground or working in my music classrooms, if they're doing a collaborative project. It's probably, one of the most beautiful things you could witness in the world. And what I'm looking forward to especially is having the college pre-service teachers witness that and interact with it and learn from it. It helps them become much better teachers and better people. It's something I've really, really enjoyed, I think from the time I was little, which was here in Appleton, Wisconsin. I grew up, for the most part, in Appleton, Wisconsin in the 70s and 80s. My dad is from India. He was one of the first wave of Indian immigrants to come in the 60s. And he met my mom in Champaign, Illinois. Where University of Illinois is. Big Ten school. But he was coming to study, to do his master's in research chemistry, that's what his career was in. My mom majored in anthropology. So my mom is, white European descendant. My dad, very, very dark brown South Indian. And they got married and had children when there were still laws in this country banning white people from marrying any kind of brown person.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a law. In which state was this?
Every single state had laws. They're called anti-misogyny laws.
Oh, until when? Like 70s, 80s maybe?
Yeah, like I think the 70s. Perhaps the last one was lifted. Probably don't want to quote me on that because we'd want to make sure that we got that right. But but what was interesting was growing up. Then they came up here, and then I grew up in this area, and I loved it for the most part. But really, I was always the only brown person in a room.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, growing up here had a ton of advantages. There was a rich arts community, so I grew up in a really dynamic music program in the Appleton schools at that time. It was a very high quality string program. So I started playing violin. I ended up in my high school orchestra, which, did all these amazing concerts and tours and recordings. It was really an incredible place to be. Grew up here, went to Lawrence University, and that's where I met my husband.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get together at that point. We came back round to one another
Full circle.
26 years later. And then left this area for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm.
When I came back in 2013, I was really, really pleased with how this area has developed, both in its diversity and culture. And it's been just incredible being back working with the college students. I started teaching at Appleton Public Montessori and taught there for 6 years and built up a program where the students engaged in music every day. Mm-hmm. We had music class every day, and they drummed and danced and composed.
That's what I call exercise.
Yeah. But it was wonderful because that's what I did down in Champaign, Illinois, building these innovative elementary music programs where you're not just dinging little cymbals and singing folk songs and playing recorder, but where you're really harnessing the musical birthright of these children. And like we were talking about before, they're so in touch with it. Mm-hmm. They haven't lost it.
No.
They go through school, and school takes it out of them, and society takes this birthright out of them. As if creativity isn't part of our birthright.
Our bones.
Exactly. So I built up that program. I'm gonna be creating another program at Edison, very similar to the one at Appleton Public Montessori. Really, really excited about that. But one of the things that I created when I came up here was the music education team for the Mile of Music. Mm-hmm. The Mile of Music is an all-original singer-songwriter festival that brings in about 95,000 people first weekend in August every year, and the first one was 2013. We're on Mile 9 now. Of course, we had to let one go because of COVID. But since the beginning of Mile, we have had an integrated music education component where we have a team. Now it's about 20 people. We started with 6. 20 professional educators, pre-service teachers, musical guest artists that provide over 45 hands-on music making events throughout the festival.
That's a lot.
So one of the things I'm really excited about in the Fox Cities, again, which is a place I love. I love living here. I love being here. And I love helping to create it and recreate it. That we can send the message out that music is your birthright, that you can come to this festival and you can not only enjoy the professional artists in the festival, but there are numerous opportunities for all ages, but particularly adults and 13 on up. Come and rediscover that inner musician that you used to be in touch with when you were a little kid. And you can be the music on the mile. You can make the music on the mile, collaborate with your community in music, which is such a direct way of being with people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's the one thing that people are like, oh, I needed this. Mm-hmm. Because words don't work all the time.
It's a place to empty your cup.
It is. Mm-hmm. Yes. And then have it filled with love and collaborative togetherness, beauty, like being able to see a human being and be with them without words is really, really powerful.
And just sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So part of that idea since 2013 is to build a musical community and one which actually sees themselves as musical beings. Doesn't matter if they've, decided to become a musician or not. That doesn't matter. Like, I am not a mathematician, but I need math every day.
Yeah.
We need to start viewing music that way, so that we all have a chance to develop that part of our being and our brain. And I think we would be helping lots of people heal, communicate, build strong, bonded environments of love and collaborative beauty. We're really missing an opportunity when we schedule music once or twice a week.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if we did that with math, think of how good we would all be at math. And, we just need to flip that on its head.
Yeah, or balance it, or just flip it.
Yeah. But anyway, that's probably one of the biggest things I do in this area is to help people rediscover that
That's awesome.
part of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what would you say is your biggest struggle right now? And it could be anything.
My biggest struggle. I think if we were kind of keeping things on a surface level, I would say finding the time to do all the things I want to do. I also love making films, acting. I love script supervising. Being on a film set and being in an elementary school classroom, those are
awesome.
two of my soul homes. And they're like equally dynamic and provide this liminal creative space that I like to be in. I love being in spaces where we're not sure what's going to happen next, but we're all working to find it together. And, teaching is all consuming because you are not only preparing for classes, but you're taking a lot of time to respond to students, which I love. It's a huge privilege. And that can be almost a 24/7 job because, they're,
You have to be aware at every moment.
they might need a recommendation or they might need to come and sit on your couch and talk something through. I love that so much. Anyway, finding my own creative time is probably my greatest struggle right now. If we were to go a little deeper, it is, as I was telling you before, I didn't lose my daughter. She's still here, but she physically passed from this world. On August 1st, it'll be 4 years. Waking up every day to that reality, I'm not gonna lie, it's very difficult. But I have the opportunity to honor her and still be in conversation with her every day, and to bring her light into the world, which she still sends. And it's really, I don't believe in death. Physical death, but not, as we were discussing, not, energy is still here, and spirit. And she is beautiful. And so I can find, and I do find ways every day to make sure that she's honored, and that her wishes still have a place in our lives. Yeah.
I believe that. What would you say brings you the most happiness right now?
Well, certainly my daughter, thinking about her, my kids, always. Oliver, Sophia, Nicholas. And then I've got 2 beautiful stepchildren, Miles and Sydney, the kids of my husband. My husband being one of the things that makes me the happiest in the world. Just the relationship with him is he's my soulmate. And I guess I've probably never been in a relationship where it is constantly creative.
Mm-hmm. It's like half and half. It's not 75-25. It's very even, cut right through the middle.
Yeah, he's a home.
If you could give advice to a younger self or someone growing up just like you and will end up in the same position as you, what little bit of light would you leave with them?
That their ideas about a thing and their creative spirit around it are important, and not to bury those things for fear of imposter syndrome, because their ideas might be the very thing that someone needs to hear or that a team needs to hear. To follow the instinct you might have about recreating something, for instance, like an approach to general music education, which has long found a groove, and it's a groove that has run its course. It has long run its course. And that if you have an idea to change that and to be responsive to classrooms of kids who want different things, who need different things, and children who are, when you're teaching, you've got 30 people in front of you who have resources you can tap into. Bringing those resources and histories and ideas into your curriculum, that you should feel comfortable following the path of being a truly responsive teacher. I think we have young people who have brilliant minds and brilliant ideas. I think they're still in a place, though, that when they go out and into their profession, they don't always feel comfortable releasing those ideas. But those are the right ideas. Going backwards, particularly in general music curriculum, is not what we want. We want to be moving forward, and forward means responding to the kids in front of you. It means composing, letting them compose, bringing their own ideas into the classroom. It means getting every kid drumming and activating their bodies that way, getting every kid dancing, finding multiple pathways into music making, whether that's building instruments, singing, or acting. But we need to turn that around, because it's not just a 2-day thing in elementary school. It can save lives. So if we're talking specifically about people who are, looking to become a music teacher, I would say, please continue to be responsive and think way outside the box, because the box has long not worked. Yeah.
I love that. I love the way you worded that. That is, and I think some people get to a point where they think they've learned enough and they don't care to learn more themselves. It's like you said, there's a lot of unconquered area that you need to go and learn, so you're able to kind of give the information to younger kids.
Well, exactly. I mean, the point you bring up is so important. Especially when you're working with people, it's always really important to bring yourself to a point of being a beginner again. A point of wonder and a point of struggle and fear.
That is true.
Like, if you're not doing something that's not pushing you or even scaring you, you're not growing.
Yes, a fire under your ass.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, if you're not doing something that scares the shit out of you, because that's what I normally say. I wasn't sure if I could, though.
No, you're fine. It's fine.
But And I think that's where people get into grooves where the energy has just died.
Yes.
Because they haven't become a beginner again. Particularly in what's happening in music. People are afraid to diversify the repertoire in their classrooms. The cultures of music that they're presenting to kids or engaging them in. There's always an excuse, well, I'm not an expert in that, so how can I possibly teach that to kids?
Yeah.
Well, get out there and learn. Also, look around in your community. What I call a backyard groove. We have so many musical culture bears in this area in the Fox Cities. I'm going to call the culture bears and say, "Hi, can I sit down with you? Do you have time to teach me?"
Yes.
Or many times the culture bears of some type are giving lessons in an art form that you can, if you're not afraid to be a beginner, you can learn. And under the supervision of that culture bear and with permission, you can bring these practices into your classroom. And then, start a beautiful relationship with people in your community.
Binding bridges together.
That play music that you didn't grow up with. But then what you're exposing your classroom kids to is something so important, and it's giving them a perspective and a peek into their community that is so much different than Erie Canal and Mary Had a Little Lamb and hot cross buns and all this stuff.
More layers.
That has long run its course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, where would you like to see yourself in 5 years? What do you want to be doing in 5 years? You want anything to be achieved in that amount of time? Any goals you got? What's coming up soon for you?
I am working on a film idea.
Ooh.
That involves bi-ethnic or biracial people. I want to. So I've got that idea in progress right now. But in 5 years, I hope to be a little more active with film projects. It's something that I started in my 30s. I went back to school and I actually got an associate's degree in theater. And I saw a little audition announcement for a local film being made. And I thought, you know what? Why not? I'm going to try that. And I got that part. And then it just kept rolling from there.
Really?
And I actually had a pretty good, really good momentum going with working in film. Working in...
was it you and John Adams a lot?
No, this was in Champaign, Illinois.
Okay.
Yep. So I was working with sometimes Hollywood-based production companies that were doing regional work in that
Different
area.
Spots.
Yeah, because my kids were little, so I was never going to move to LA.
Fair.
But that was rolling. I was working on a lot of different things, either on production, on the crew, mainly script supervision or acting, which I loved. And then just because of family things, I had to drop it for a long time.
It's time consuming.
Just getting back into it over the last, I'd say, 2 years, and I'm loving stepping back into filmmaking. So in 5 years, I would like to see myself having made that film that's in progress that I was just telling you about, and several other film projects under my belt, bringing some of these ideas with the musical Birthright into my filmmaking work.
Putting the two together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's always the best. Find two passions, put them in one bowl,
Yeah.
make it work. That's the next step for me as well.
Yeah.
So that's awesome to hear. If you could do it all over again, and if so, what would it be?
Life?
Whatever you want it to be. It could be what you love to do. It could be like how you like started it. Yeah, it could be anything.
Yeah.
You could start anything over.
Oh my goodness. That's a tough one for me because, I respect life as it unfolds.
Yes.
And some of the hardest experiences and paths are the ones that can become the most beautiful in terms of life lessons and experience.
Yeah.
I think for me that a very obvious answer is I would like a life where one of my children didn't die. I don't want that experience. I don't know how you go back and make that not happen. But if I could do something all over again, I think it would be to approach life understanding my power much more. Understanding the beauty I bring into the world. Understanding that as a frizzy-haired brown girl in a sea of blonde, that I was the most beautiful one in that room. And that my presence mattered and my ideas mattered. It would be nice not to have taken so long to understand that my voice was the one needed. And I think that's why I love working with young people.
You want to be you want to be the person that wasn't there for you when you were a kid.
Yeah.
I think we all grow up to be those people. Yeah.
Yeah. Making space for them. What a privilege to be a part of someone else's journey.